The Galactic Council Hall was silent. Hundreds of species sat in wide circles, their eyes fixed on one figure standing alone in the center. His name was Cale Vorn. He was known across the galaxy as the top mercenary, a hunter who never failed. Worlds had fallen because of him. Armies had paid him fortunes. If Cale accepted a contract, the target never survived. So when Cale refused a mission, the galaxy noticed. A tall council member finally spoke. "You rejected the human hunting contract," it said. "No mercenary has ever done that. Explain yourself." Cale slowly raised his head. His armor was old, scratched, and burned. These were not marks of weakness. They were marks of survival. "I did not refuse because I was afraid," Cale said in a calm voice. "I refused because hunting humans is a mistake." Soft sounds spread through the hall. Some laughed. Others hissed in disbelief. "Humans are weak," another council member said. "Small fleets, old weapons, one planet." Cale's eyes narrowed. "That is what I thought too," he replied. "Before I met them." The lights in the hall dimmed as Cale began his story. Years ago, Cale had received the contract. Target: a human border colony. Threat level: low. Payment: hideout. It made no sense. Easy targets never paid this well. But Cale did not ask questions. He never did. He arrived at the human system with 3 attack ships and his elite ground team. From space, the human planet looked quiet. "Too quiet. No defense grid detected," one of his crew said. Cale nodded. "They don't know we're here." That was mistake number 1. When Cale's ships entered orbit, human signals suddenly changed. Old satellites activated. Civilian channels went silent. The planet did not panic. It prepared. Cale led the first ground strike himself. The landing zone was open land. No walls. No soldiers in sight. "Strange," Cale muttered. Then the ground exploded. Hidden charges tore through his team. Smoke filled the air. Human weapons fired from places cannons had missed. Not advanced weapons, simple ones, but used with perfect timing. "Fall back," Cale ordered, but humans did not chase. They waited. That confused Cale more than the attack. Over the next 2 days, Cale attacked again and again. Each time, the humans changed tactics. When Cale used air power, humans went underground. When he used ground forces, humans used terrain, mountains, storms, even animals. "They are learning us?" Cale realized. No other species adapted this fast. On the 3rd day, Cale captured a human soldier. The human was injured, bleeding, and clearly weak. Cale expected fear. Instead, the human smiled. "You're late," the human said. Cale paused. "Late for what?" "For understanding," the human replied. Before Cale could ask more, the ground shook. A nearby human base exploded, destroyed by humans themselves. They destroyed their own base? One of Cale's officers asked in shock. Cale stared at the fire. "Yes," he said slowly. "To stop us from taking it." That was mistake number 2. Thinking humans valued places more than people. As the days passed, Cale's losses grew. Not because humans were stronger, but because they refused to fight in ways Cale understood. Humans retreated when they should attack. They attacked when they should hide. They used failure as a lesson. Cale had hunted hundreds of species. Every one of them broke the same way, through fear. Humans did not break. One night, Cale stood alone, watching a human city from afar. Lights flickered as civilians moved calmly underground. "They know we can't win forever," Cale whispered. "But they also know. Neither can we." That night, Cale made a decision no mercenary had ever made. He stopped the hunt. The council hall lights returned to full brightness. Cale stood once again before the galaxy's leaders. "I walked away," he said. "Not because I lost, but because if I stayed longer, I would." The hall erupted in noise. "They are just one species." Someone shouted. Cale raised his hand. "Humans do not fight to conquer," he said. "They fight to protect. And when a species fights for home, they do not stop." Silence fell again. Cale took a deep breath and delivered his final warning. "If you hunt humans," he said, "you will not face an army, you will face a lesson." And the galaxy would soon learn what that lesson was. The Galactic Council listened in silence as Cale Vorn continued his story. His voice was steady, but his eyes showed something new, memory mixed with regret. I left the planet, Cale said, but humans did not forget me. The hunt did not end when Cale pulled his ships back. For humans, it had only changed shape. After Cale stopped the attack, he moved his fleet to the edge of the system. He planned to leave once repairs were done. His ships were damaged, his crew tired, but he still believed he was in control. That belief lasted 1 hour. Human signals returned, but not in fear. They were calm, organized. They are scanning us, one of Cale's pilots said. Cale frowned. With what technology? The answer came fast. Human drones appeared from nowhere. Small, cheap, fast. Cale's weapons destroyed many of them, but more kept coming. They did not attack. They only watched. They are studying us. Cale realized, for the first time in his long career, Cale felt uneasy. That night, Cale ordered a stealth jump to a nearby moon to hide. His ships powered down. No lights. No signals, perfect silence. Then one of Cale's ships exploded. No warning. No energy spike. Just gone. Human kinetic weapons. Simple metal, thrown at high speed. They found us, Cale said quietly. Humans did not use power weapons this time. They used physics, rocks, gravity, speed. Cale understood the message. You can hide. We will still find you. Cale launched fighters to escape the moon's orbit. Humans did not follow. Instead, they blocked his jump paths. Every route Cale tried closed one by one. They're not chasing, his officer said. They're guiding us. Where? Cale asked. The answer appeared on the main screen. Coordinates, 1 location. The human homeworld. Cale's blood ran cold. They want me to see something, he said. Against his better judgment, Cale followed Dot as his ship entered human space again. He expected traps, weapons, or fleets. He saw none of that. He saw cities. Human cities were not beautiful like the crystal worlds or perfect like machine planets. They were messy, loud, and alive. Cale saw humans working together, soldiers, doctors, engineers, civilians. Everyone had a role. They're not hiding, one crew member whispered. No, Cale replied. They're enduring. Suddenly, human fighters appeared. They surrounded Cale's ship but did not fire. A transmission came through. This is Captain Elias Grant of Earth Defense, the voice said. We know who you are, Cale Vorn. Cale did not answer. You came to hunt us, the human continued. Now we ask you to listen. Cale agreed to land under one condition, no weapons. The humans agreed. Mistake number 3, Cale thought. But it was his mistake. On the surface, Cale expected hatred. He saw none. The humans he met were tired. Some were injured. But their eyes were focused. Captain Grant looked Cale in the eyes. You stopped the attack, Grant said. Why? Cale answered honestly. Because you would not stop adapting. Grant nodded. That's who we are. Cale studied the humans closely. They were not the strongest. Not the fastest. Not the smartest, but they were stubborn. As Cale prepared to leave, alarms rang. Another mercenary fleet entered the system. Different species. Same goal. They followed your trail, Grant said. They're here for us. Cale turned toward the sky. For a moment, he considered leaving. Then he remembered the human soldier who smiled while bleeding. He remembered the base humans destroyed themselves. He remembered the lesson forming in his mind. Cale made his choice. I will help you, he said. Grant looked surprised. Why? Cale answered simply. Because if they hunt you, he said, they will hunt the galaxy next. The battle that followed changed Cale forever. Humans did not command him. They cooperated. They shared data. Learned his tactics in minutes. Improved them. Together they destroyed the mercenary fleet not with power, but with coordination. When it was over, Cale stood among humans, watching burning ships fall from the sky. That day, Cale told the council, I understood the truth. Humans were not prey. They were partners, and if the galaxy kept hunting them, the galaxy would lose. The council hall felt colder as Cale Vorn continued. Many leaders leaned forward now. No one was laughing anymore. You think humans are brave, one council member said. Every species fights when survival is near. Kale shook his head slowly. Humans fight even when survival is not possible, he said. That is the difference. After the battle, Kale stayed in human space. His ships were repaired with human tools, simple, rough, but effective. Humans did not treat him as a hero. They treated him as a risk. That honesty earned his respect. Soon the attacks began again. This time, it was not mercenaries. It was a coalition fleet, 3 alien species united by fear of humanity's growth. Their ships were advanced. Their numbers overwhelming. Human command knew the truth. They could not win. We need time to evacuate the outer cities, Captain Grant said. 12 hours. Kale studied the enemy formation. You have 6, he replied. The room fell silent. Then a human officer spoke. Then we hold for 6. Kale looked at them in disbelief. You will die. Yes, the officer answered. Some of us will. That was when Kale understood something terrible. They had already accepted it. Humans prepared their defense. No speeches. No panic. Just action. Civilian ships were launched first. Families left while soldiers stayed behind. Engineers overloaded reactors. Pilots fueled ships they would never fly. Kale watched it all. You are choosing death, he said to Captain Grant. Grant nodded. So others can live. No contracts. No payment. Only choice. The enemy fleet attacked with full force. Space burned with light and fire. Human ships charged forward, not to win, but to slow. They rammed larger vessels. Disabled engines. Triggered explosions at close range. Kale shouted orders. But humans did not always listen. They went where they were needed most. One human pilot, barely trained, locked his ship onto an enemy cruiser. Tell my sister I tried, the pilot said calmly. Then the channel went silent. Kale froze. No screams. No fear, just purpose. On the ground, it was worse. Human soldiers held narrow passes and broken cities. They used ruins as shields, smoke as cover. Their weapons were weak, but their timing was perfect. Kale fought beside them. He saw a human soldier lose an arm and still pull a trigger. He saw medics drag wounded while under fire. He saw civilians return to fight when evacuation ships were full. Why don't you run? Kale asked one soldier. The human looked at him, confused. This is home, the soldier said. Where would I go? The 6 hours passed, then 7, then 8. Human losses were terrible. But the enemy fleet slowed. Their formation broke. They did not understand what they were facing. A species that refused to stop. At the 9th hour, human reinforcements arrived from nearby systems. Not fleets. Volunteers. Civilian ships with weapons added. Old mining vessels turned into bombs. The enemy retreated. They had won. After the battle, Kale stood among the dead. Human bodies lay everywhere. Covered. Respected. No one celebrated. Captain Grant approached him. You were right, Grant said quietly. We adapt. Kale shook his head. No, he replied. You choose. That night, Kale could not sleep. He replayed the battle again and again. Every species Kale had hunted feared death. Humans used it. Not with madness. With meaning. Kale looked back at the council. You hunt humans thinking they are weak, he said. But weakness does not hold the line when hope is gone. He took a slow breath. Humans do not fear death, Kale said. They fear failing those they protect. The council was silent. Some began to understand, others still did not, and those were the ones who would soon make the galaxy's greatest mistake. The council chamber was quiet, but it was not calm. Many leaders shifted in their seats as Kale Vorn continued. His voice was lower now, slower, as if each word carried weight. You believe fear is a weakness, Kale said. Humans do not. After the Great Battle, the galaxy changed its tactics. Direct attacks failed. Overwhelming force failed. So the enemy chose fear. Human supply lines were attacked. Small colonies vanished overnight. Signals were left behind, warnings written in blood and fire. Leave the galaxy, or be erased. Kale watched the messages appear on human screens. Humans did not panic. They studied. Human command gathered. Soldiers, scientists, and civilians stood together. No ranks mattered. Only ideas. They want us afraid, Captain Grant said. So we give them something worse. Kale did not understand. Fear always broke species. It slowed thought. It caused mistakes. But humans used fear differently. They shared it. Every attack was recorded. Every loss was shown. No lies. No comfort. Kale expected morale to fall. It did not. It hardened. Humans began to change how they fought. They spread rumors through open channels, stories of human traps, ghost ships, and impossible survival. Some stories were true. Some were not. Enemy scouts disappeared. Listening posts went silent. Humans attacked only at night cycles. Always from different angles. Never the same way twice. Kale watched enemy fleets hesitate. They're afraid of you, he told Grant. Grant shook his head. They're afraid of what they don't understand. On one distant moon, Kale saw it clearly. A human team landed with no heavy weapons. Just tools and time. They disabled lights. Cut power. Jammed sensors, then they waited. Enemy troops landed, nervous and tense. Shadows moved where nothing should be. Human whispers filled their channels, recorded voices, played on loops. We see you. You are not alone. Shots were fired at empty air. By the time humans attacked, the enemy was already broken. Kale felt something he had not felt in decades. Fear. Humans did not chase fleeing enemies. They let them go. Why? Kale asked. So they can tell others, Grant replied. That answer chilled Kale more than any weapon. Soon, enemy commanders changed behavior. Fleets moved slower. Scouts refused missions. Some species abandoned contracts entirely. The hunt was failing, but the galaxy was not done. A final plan was formed. If fear would not break humans, they would break human hope. A massive strike force targeted Earth itself. Not to conquer. To send a message. Kale saw the fleet assemble, larger than anything before. Enough firepower to burn a world. You can't stop this, Kale said. Grant nodded. We know. Then why stay? Kale asked. Grant looked toward the planet below. Blue. Fragile. Alive. Because fear only works, Grant said, when you face it alone. Earth prepared. Civilians were moved underground. Old defenses were activated. Ships that should not fly were launched anyway. Humans did not hide the fear this time. They broadcast it. They showed their shaking hands, their breaking voices, their tears. And still, they stood. The galaxy watched. Some laughed. Others felt uneasy. As the enemy fleet entered orbit, human channels went silent. Then one message was sent. Open. Unencrypted. This is Earth. We are afraid. And we are still here. The battle had not begun yet, but Kale knew something had already changed. Fear was no longer a weapon against humans. Humans had claimed it and turned it outward. Kale looked at the council. You wanted to break them, he said quietly. Instead, you taught them how to break you. The council said nothing. They were starting to understand, but the galaxy's greatest test was still coming. The Galactic Council no longer looked powerful. They looked uncertain. Kale Vorn stood in the center, his arms relaxed, his voice steady. You think the story ends with Earth's defense, he said. It does not. That was only the moment humans made a choice. The enemy fleet surrounded Earth. Weapons were charged. Orders were ready. From every angle, the planet looked small. Kale watched from orbit, his ships damaged but functional. He knew the numbers. He knew the outcome. Earth could not win. Human command knew it too. Captain Grant stood before his officers. No anger, no shouting. We have one move left, Grant said. Kale leaned forward. What move? Grant turned to him. One you will not expect. Instead of preparing a final defense, humans did something strange. They opened all channels. Not threats. Not demands. Confessions. Human leaders spoke to the galaxy unfiltered and live. They showed ruined cities, fallen soldiers, crying families. We are not perfect, one leader said. We are afraid, said another. We will not pretend to be strong. Kale felt confusion spread across the enemy fleet. This was not weakness. It was honesty. Then came the shock. Human fleets began to move, but not Toward the enemy, they moved away from Earth, ships disengaged. Weapons powered down. They're surrendering. An enemy commander laughed. Kale did not laugh. Watch closely, he whispered. Human ships formed corridors in space. Paths were opened through their defenses. This is Earth, Captain Grant said on open channel. If you want this world, you may enter. Silence followed. No species had ever done this. Kale realized the truth first. They are forcing a decision, he said. Enemy commanders argued. This was not the plan. There was no glory in attacking a world that did not fight back. Scans showed something worse. Earth's reactors were unstable. Cities were empty. Infrastructure was prepared for collapse. Humans had set traps not to kill fleets but to deny victory. If you attack, Grant continued, you will destroy us, but you will gain nothing. Minutes passed. Then one enemy fleet turned away. Then another. Fear returned, but this time, it was not human fear. It was galactic fear. What kind of species chooses loss over submission? What kind of species removes the reward? A single enemy commander broke formation and attacked. Kale watched the result. Human failsafes activated. Space burned. Entire sectors collapsed into controlled destruction. The attacking fleet was erased. Earth survived, but only because humans were willing to let it die. The rest of the enemy fleets retreated. Not defeated. Refused. The galaxy did not know how to fight a species that denied victory itself. After the fleets withdrew, Kale landed on Earth. Cities were damaged. People mourned. But no one regretted the choice. Captain Grant met Kale again. You could have ruled the galaxy. Kale said. Grant shook his head. We don't want to rule. We want to be left alone. Kale nodded slowly. That choice changed everything. Back in the council chamber, Kale finished the part of the story that haunted him most. Humans showed the galaxy something dangerous. He said, power does not always come from force. Sometimes, Kale added, it comes from refusal. The council was silent. They understood now, but understanding came late, because the galaxy was already changing. The council chamber felt smaller now. No one interrupted Kale Vorn anymore. You might think the galaxy learned its lesson, Kale said. It did not. Fear spread faster than war. Humanity had not conquered worlds. It had not demanded tribute. It had simply refused to break. That scared the galaxy more than weapons ever could. So the council made a final decision. Humanity would be erased. Not by battle, by silence. Trade with humans was banned. Navigation data was locked. Human signals were jammed or ignored. Entire star systems were ordered to pretend Earth did not exist. If no one sees them, one leader said, they will fade. Kale listened to this plan and felt something twist inside him. This was not war. It was execution. Within months, human colonies began to suffer. Fuel ran low. Medical supplies vanished. Communication failed. Kale watched human ships arrive at neutral stations, asking, not threatening. They were turned away. We cannot trade, station masters said. Orders. Humans left without protest. That frightened Kale more than anger would have. On Earth, leaders gathered again. We can fight, some said. We can take what we need. Grant stood silent for a long time. Then he spoke. If we become what they fear, he said, then they were right. Humanity chose restraint. They rationed. They reused. They endured. Kale stayed with them, watching something rare. A species suffering without hatred. Years passed. Human technology slowed. Their growth stopped. But they did not collapse. Children still went to school. Artists still created. Scientists still worked with what little they had. They are shrinking. Council reports said. Kale knew better. They were hardening. Then the galaxy made its final mistake. A distant alien empire collapsed into civil war. Refugees fled. Planets burned. The council debated. Helping would weaken them. Ignoring it would save resources. Humans were not invited to speak. They acted anyway. Human ships, old and underpowered, entered the war zone. They carried food, medicine, evacuation plans. They did not ask permission. Kale watched as humans rescued alien children who had been taught to hate them. Why help them? Kale asked. Grant answered quietly. Because someone once tried to erase us. Images spread. Humans saving lives, humans refusing payment. Humans leaving supplies and disappearing. The galaxy noticed, whispers returned. They didn't have to help, but they did. Trade bans weakened. Silent channels reopened, not by order, by choice. Worlds began to speak to humans again. The council lost control. Kale turned back to the council chamber, his story almost complete. You tried to erase humanity, he said. Instead, you revealed them. He paused. When the galaxy was at its worst, Kale continued, humans were at their best. The council sat frozen. They finally understood. But understanding had a cost. Because humanity was no longer alone. The Galactic Council Hall was silent. No whispers, no protests. No laughter. Kale Vorn stood alone in the center. His story finished, but its meaning still spreading like fire. You tried to hunt them, Kale said. You tried to break them. You tried to erase them. He looked slowly around the chamber. And you failed. Humanity was no longer isolated. Worlds that humans had helped during the Great Collapse now stood with them. Not as allies bound by contracts, but by memory. They remembered who came when no one else did. Human ships moved freely again. Not in fleets of conquest, but in networks of trust. Trade returned. Communication flourished, but something had changed. The galaxy was careful now. A council leader finally spoke. What do humans want? The voice asked. Power? Territory? Control? Kale shook his head. They want what they always wanted, he said. To live. To protect. To be left in peace. Another voice followed, quiet but afraid. And if we threaten them again? Kale did not answer immediately. He remembered human soldiers standing in fire. He remembered pilots choosing death with calm voices. He remembered a species that refused victory itself. They will not strike first, Kale said at last. But if you force them... He let the silence finish the sentence. Far from the council, on Earth, humans rebuilt. Cities rose slower than before, but stronger. Children learned not just history, but responsibility. They did not celebrate survival. They prepared. Because humans understood something the galaxy did not. Peace is not permanent. Kale made his final confession. I was the galaxy's greatest hunter, he said. I measured life in credits and targets. He removed his insignia and placed it on the council floor. I will never hunt humans, Kale said, because I have seen what happens to those who try. The council issued a final decree. Humans are not to be hunted. Human space is sovereign. Any attack will be answered by more than just humanity. It was not a treaty. It was a warning. As Kale turned to leave, one last question followed him. Why tell us all this now? Kale stopped at the doorway. Because the galaxy forgets, he said. And humans remember. Far beyond the council chamber, human signals traveled into deep space. Not threats. Not demands, a simple message. We are still here. And for the first time in galactic history, the galaxy believed them. They never expected this.